ready to crack the coolness code. And what we're really looking at is ways not just to prevent ourselves being angry, but also how to get over when somebody else has been in a little bit of rage around you, and a few techniques to deal with that, to know that, hey, you don't have to take stuff personally. It's not your fault, and they don't deserve any power over you. Yeah, so just, yeah, so have you got any questions before we begin? No? No? Great. Yeah, I'll just share my screen. The share here. So, cracking the coolness code, 5 actionable strategies to prevent anger from escalating. And now to make it go to the next slide, it worked. Oh, there it is. Yeah. So first thing to look at is the truth of the matter. What is actually happening? And while we're being reactive, it can be quite hard to work out what is the truth. Take responsibility, own it. So we're more empowered. Compassion, what is real? And compassion's looking at the other person's impression as well as your own. See what's alive in them, in the work of Marshall Rosenberg. And knowing your triggers. And prevention. Isn't prevention better than trying to get over it? And if we can recognize when we're starting to have an issue, then we can prevent the escalation as well. So it's harder to prevent it when things have already exploded. We have to prevent the explosion. So the truth of the matter, avoid assumptions. And there may be sometimes when you could have assumed certain behaviors and thoughts, so don't be afraid to ask, what did you hear me say? What are you thinking? And rather than explode in your own way, in a reactive way. And also, don't shoot the messenger. So there are times where I've done that little circle myself, where I've been on a call with Telstra or somebody like that, and I've had the first call, I'm fine, you report the issue. Then they say, oh yeah, I'm just going to put you on to somebody else. So you're really patient. Then you get put on to the next person. Then the call drops out and you have to start all over again. And when you get to that first lower level person who's just doing their job, perhaps innocently sitting in the Philippines, earning their little meager wage, and you feel like saying, don't do this. So be aware who you're saying it to. You need to, so don't shoot the messenger. They're not going to be able to help you. And that's part of the truth of the matter. Who is at fault? And is there, we're not looking at blame, we're looking for win-win resolutions. Choose calm intelligence. We are not all that intelligent when we're flying off the handle, can be quite irrational at times. And so, and breathe. And we've all possibly heard of the one where we just do that breathing thing or count to 10 and just take a moment to center ourselves. And the breath is so powerful. That is one thing we can control. Excuse me. And so one thing, I really like the way someone said this to me today was we can't control what we get. We can control what we give. Yeah. And so in that, we can take responsibility. We can own it. We choose how we react in order to stay in our power. And a mindset for remaining calm. And some people don't care to remain calm at all. I was married to one a long time ago. And what I had observed, though, he could be having the biggest little 3-year-old style tantrum and raving on with the ones he supposedly loves the most. And we're just feeling. Then the phone would ring, or there was a tap on the door, and just like that, he'll answer the phone or open the door and say, "Oh, how are you going?" So he's going from this raging lunatic to, "Oh, hi, how are you?" Like some stranger matters more than his own family. And
sounds familiar.
Does that sound familiar, Craig? Yeah. Would you like to share more on that one for us?
Oh, no, only that I think people feel secure in their own environment, and it's the people they trust the most that they're more secure to vent their true personality, right? They want to be perceived to be a different person to the ones that aren't so close to them.
Yeah, yeah. And how unfair is that? Thank you, Craig. Yeah, that it's just not fair. Like, we matter more, I'm sure. The family should matter more. And I think it's good to recognize that and to find compassion. And that look at what is alive in you and what are the needs, what resources are available. And I was listening to an audio book the other day. I'll just stop sharing for a moment. Welcome, Amber. Yeah. Pleased you could join us. Yeah. Where in the world are you, Craig?
You?
And Amber? Yeah. Amber,
Sorry?
where in the world are you?
I'm in northern New South Wales.
Oh, yeah, not that far away from me. And
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I probably just had a bit of an anger-inducing experience trying to get onto Zoom. Hilarious.
Oh, but you made it. I'm so grateful for you being here.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
you do sometimes have to persist.
Yeah, I know it's a little bit awkward when I asked for registration as well, because some people just want to
Yeah.
link, but I do really want to make you part of the family to be able to help you more and have enough details that it can reach out and give more as time goes by. So yeah, so thank you for putting in your information. I shall respect it and will never share or anything like that, just to keep in touch. Yeah. And whereabouts are you, Craig? Can't quite mouth lip read.
There you go. Sunshine Coast.
Oh, yeah, not that far. Here we are, all in the sort of a couple of 100 meters of each other. That's great. So pleased to have you join. Yeah. So I was about to share a story about somebody crossing the Chinese border to Tibet, which had been closed for a long time. And they're on this Zen journey, they're trying to be all Zen. And they've off the bus in the rain, pouring rain, and it would be cold there as well. And the luggage is taken off the bus and also put in the rain. And here they are traveling for weeks and weeks and a bit concerned about the rubbish being in the rain. And so she's asked their interpreter to please request the border control to just see if they can take the luggage out of the rain. And there's a little office building the security guards use. And so she's pointing over there to where there's a little bit of shelter while she's asking the interpreter to convey that message. And the border patrol people have just said, oh, no, not allowed, cannot be done. Until you are processed, the luggage cannot be moved across which would effectively be bringing it into China, and they're still on the other side of the border. And yeah, so she's dealt with it in such a way, asking their interpreter to say how much she respects the Chinese and would never ever ask them to break a rule. But perhaps there could be a tarp or some other means, or even pop it back on the bus, or yeah, and know that they're an intelligent person of great consideration, and they really respect that they're obedient and capable, and quite sure that they could be capable of finding a solution that will suit both. And so the interpreters conveyed that message, and next thing somebody arrives with a tarp to put over the luggage. And you could tell that that could have gone pretty badly if you'd had an irate traveller in amongst the lot, just going off the handle saying, no, no, no. And the whole premise of this is to look at what is alive in the other. Where, you know, someone was sharing a story with me earlier, and you think, oh yeah, I remember you from 5 years ago. Yeah, it was hard times, wasn't it? And to see what's alive in them with compassion. I know it's hard when someone's going off at you, or even when you feel like going off at somebody else. And this is really based on one of the work of Marshall Rosenberg, nonviolent communication. And he has brilliant examples in his book called Nonviolent Communication. I'm talking about compassion, what is alive in the other. And he has some examples of people getting accosted while being at the homeless shelter as a volunteer. She was, this one of the women were talking about someone about to, looking like he was going to strangle him, or strangle her, if she didn't give him a bed for the night. And he was quite all right. And it was a fairly dangerous situation. But through her lessons with the nonviolent communication, to see what's alive in this other guy, to say, it is cold. Must be terrible having to sleep out in the cold. So from that point of view, to see what's alive in him, then also to state your own needs. And so I wouldn't be able to paraphrase it exactly, but just that idea, what is alive in them, this is what my needs are. And can we just compromise in a way that's going to get both our needs met? And you do it with compassion, and that can help that stuff in you from stop gurgling up. So just come back to sharing my screen. Share screen. Yeah, so what is alive in you? What are the needs that are the needs from both parties? What resources are available? So in the crossing the border one, what resources? Yeah, there was a tarp. They didn't know if there was a tarp available. There was a place where the luggage could have been put. The border patrol guy had a need to obey rules. And to understand you have a need to obey rules. So you see what's alive in them. Recognize that, yeah, we're all human, and we don't want to be angry, yet, as Craig had mentioned earlier, that we don't want to fake it either. But is there a way to express your needs from a space of calm, with that mindset that you're looking for win-win situations? Don't be afraid to use your gut instinct and dig the heels in. We're not talking about being a doormat here. No, we are really wanting to hold our ground. That yeah, and we can end up with win-win circumstances. So now on to triggers. And now we have an opportunity to release some past stuff that gets in the way. And we can do a quick little hypnotic meditation here, where we get to release the past stuff that gets in the way. So if you're still driving, Craig, don't close your eyes. But yeah, and replace with the preferred action. The reward is sweeter. So there is the work of years ago, Power of Habit, and they defining through lots and lots of scientific research that we have a cue, a trigger. Then we have some action, which is often automatically follows the trigger in a habitual way. Then there's a reward. And that can even cycle around and around if we got this funny dopamine cycle go on, which can be almost habitual addictive stuff. And we can all have triggers, possibly all have a trigger of some way, maybe a time when you might have had a hard time, another time where like a trigger for me, for example, a while ago when I was just brushing my teeth for, okay, we were on a boat, so there wasn't lots and lots of water available, but I thought I'll be conservative, so brush my teeth. And there I am, just turn the tap on to wash my toothbrush under the tap and rinse out my mouth at the same time. And then the captain comes up behind me and said, no, not like that. You just do this little burst for half a second, psh, and turn it off, psh, turn it off. Thinking, oh, if you want me to be conservative, just give me a glass and I'll do it from a glass. And so for so long afterwards, every time I brushed my teeth, I was like reinforcing this thought of, oh, don't waste water. It was like in my brain that if I waste water, someone's going to yell at me. And I wasn't even wasting water that much. And that was just a little trigger. And I think, oh, I don't want to feel that anymore when I'm brushing my teeth. And so release it. Yeah. So you can do these things without it even being a thought. And so who's up for releasing some of that stuff? Yeah, so can unmute yourselves and we'll do a quick little release. We're going to first do a little bit with eye movement and then we'll do a little hypnotic meditation of a sort. So Roz, is there any particular trigger? You don't have to share it if you don't want to, but something that you'd really like to release where so this goes on, you get this reaction, you think, oh, I know unconsciously it doesn't serve you, but you think, hey, can I behave differently when such and such happens?
Yeah, I become triggered, and this has just recently happened, when someone's in my personal space and they're yelling at me and I feel trapped. And I have learnt over the years many tools to be able to not react. But when it happened just recently, I was able to maintain it and not react, but it did affect me on a level that I felt quite uncomfortable.
Yeah, so to be able to shield yourself when that somebody's in that space and think you have no right to invade past this space.
Yeah. And I was able to do that, but then it's the aftermath. Like once
you want a fast recovery.
Yeah, it was, I needed, and it was, I guess I was blessed on that day because I had like 40 minutes that I could just, process it, deal with it and put it in a cabinet somewhere. But I don't know, maybe if I had hours free and not working, it may have had a different result. But fortunately, it was okay. So I knew that I could stop it or maintain it, but it was very uncomfortable and it was hard. It wasn't an easy journey.
Yeah. Yeah. And anything for you, Amber, that comes to mind if you wanted to share? You don't have to. But,
Yeah, I think for me, it's there's been a couple of times recently where I've just been doing some volunteer work and I had to write out some information to be sent out to all the members, and I put a lot of effort into it because it had to be set out properly so that it was readable and chose the right words and all that sort of thing. That's my skill. And sent it off to the secretary to ask her to distribute it, and she completely changed the whole thing, changed the setup so it was just a run-on mishmash, changed the wording, and it became a completely ineffective missive, and she's actually done it a couple of times. So that sort of situation, I find that upsets me and gets me angry because I feel disempowered in the situation, like she's got the power. And I tried once to talk to her, and she just, she cut the phone call short and said, I've got to leave, and she hasn't got back to me. So, I'm kind of stymied with how to deal with it. But also my personal reaction was, and the third time she did it, I just felt this bubbling up straight away. It was completely triggered straight away. So yeah, so something like that, absolutely. I would like to be able to be in a position with myself where I can see what's happening, but it doesn't trigger me to, make my blood boil.
yeah.
I'd rather not go through that bit.
Keep you cool, no blood boiling.
Yeah,
I love working. They're quite opposite, aren't they? Keeping you cool and don't let the blood boil. Yeah. So we can do something quickly in just looking at eye movement.
Yep.
Yeah. Have you done eye movement stuff before?
EMDR.
It's not the same. This is more based on what's the letters for it. Anyway, it's just pizza cutter stuff that it's a real shortcut of eye movement. It can be rather intriguing how it.
Well, is that NLP stuff?
No, it's yeah. All we're going to do is look that way, up, down, there, there.
Okay.
While we hold the feeling in the front.
Okay.
Yeah. So you bring that feeling, and I think because of the way you just shared, it will be pretty well front and center. But when you look like each way, look as far each direction as you possibly can.
Yep.
While holding it in your mind.
Yep.
Yeah. And so while you're holding it in your mind, you can look as far one way as you can, then the other. And don't be afraid to let it shift. And up and down. And keep it in your mind, but let it change. If it's still, let it move. Yeah, we're just up that way. And down that way. So we're basically following the shape like we're cutting a pizza. So crossways, up and down, diagonal, and the other diagonal. Yeah. Well, holding it here.
Okay.
And as we do that, you notice it. You allow it to move. If it's colorful, you let it change to black and white. If it's black and white, it changes to color. If it's close, let it go distant, smaller and smaller. Yeah. And so one more time, holding it there, all the way to the right, all the way to the left, up, down, over there, 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 and there. And big deep breath, close the eyes, and grab it again. And notice how powerful you are, that you can change it, you can shift it. And now while it's there, whatever's left, notice that it's spinning a particular direction. Now I want you to grab it and spin it the other way. Then spin it out of sight, feeling, and mind. Make it distant. That's right. Then come on back and feel it. Is it any less powerful? Has it changed at all?
Yeah, I have a question, if
Yep.
I may. Would you find or recommend that, one would need to do that kind of process as a regular thing? Like, if you get triggered, like whenever you get triggered, would you say that overall that would reduce your general tendency to be easily
You
triggered?
repeat it without the trigger. Yeah. What the
No, but if
intention
you
would
get
be. Oh, like, yeah, if you do it before it escalates. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
But well, I don't know, sometimes it's very fast, that moment where something comes in.
Yeah.
It's almost quicker than thought sometimes, that the
It's,
visceral
yeah,
feeling,
subconscious. Yep.
Yeah, so what I'm getting at is, well, okay, so you remember to use that process at that time. Do you find that overall, like over a period of time, that it helps to reduce the amount of times that you might feel triggered, that you get a general lessening of your tendency to go into feeling anger?
Yeah, you this stuff can like layer and almost be repetition and build upon itself.
Yeah.
And each time you might do that, you might be just bringing the layers back down. Or yeah, like you can repeat it a few times. And there's variations of that. You hear about EFT, which is the tapping side of things, where you're holding on to the feeling and letting it, you're diving through it rather than trying to push it away. You're bringing it in, you're bringing yourself into your own power. And it's same with the havening, which is just these strokes that you can do for yourself.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, there's a
Where do
thing
you
called
start the
havening.
strokes from?
Yeah, but we won't go into that one now because we're pretty well over our 45 minutes, and I want to respect your time as well, because I know Roz is on a bit of a time limit as well, aren't you, Roz? Yeah. So but I'll continue.
Didn't this
I'll
start at
actually.
1:45? Did this not start at 1:45?
1:45. Oh, actually, I still have time.
And
Thank
this
you.
is 22,
Yeah.
so that's 32.
Yeah, so it's a 2:30
minutes.
finish that we're looking at. So we've still got 8 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. I was doing my maths wrong. Yeah.
That's one thing I can do, maths.
Yeah.
So may I ask you about that other?
The havening. Yeah.
Havening. Is it H-A-B?
Yeah, like safe haven. H-A-V-E-N-I-N-G.
Havening. I've not heard of that before.
Yeah. No, it's quite famous for helping with PTSD.
Yeah.
I did self-havening just then when I talked about the one on the cheeks. But,
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
and that
I'll
can,
look that
that
up.
can come into this next little slide so that we can do a little bit of havening when I come back from stopping sharing the screen.
Okay.
Also needed to remember my plan here.
Yep.
Yeah. So another strategy. I'm pretty sure that's the last one. Yeah. So prevention, and that's what we were talking about before with using. You can use your eye movement to dispel it.
Yep.
We can use listening and releasing the triggers.
Yeah.
And connect with your reality. Like, don't sweat the small stuff. We hear it. Sometimes because of the trigger, we can't help it.
Mm.
So connect with your reality. How much does it really matter? And I heard my daughter say over and over again with a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, choose your battles. Yeah, sometimes you'll just give in and still win the war anyway. But, don't sweat the small stuff. Connect with what really matter. What's the worst thing that can happen if you just let them go? But also, there's the other saying, give an inch, they'll take a mile. So watch out where that's going on as well. Yeah, step into gratitude. So, there's times where you might be confronted with something and look around and you think, oh, well, it could be worse. Just be grateful. I'm not overly saying I never want to encourage someone to be the doormat or not enforce boundaries that are aligned with their ethics, morals. So don't use gratitude saying, oh, it's all right. I can be really happy where I am because I feel safe. I have a roof over my head. Doesn't matter that such and such is tearing up the garden. I'm safe. I think, no, that you still align and dig your heels in. Focus on positives. Yep, that's part of the gratitude thing, isn't it? And I think I grew up with a lot of that stuff from dear mum, the English mum. Made your bed, you have to lie in it. And you think, oh, does that mean you stay stuck in an unhelpful marriage for the whole of your life? Or does it, got to interpret these things that's really going to honor you and those you care about, and particularly to care about yourself. So focus on positive, yes. Still align with your own ethics, morals, values, and deal with what you can control. As I said earlier, we can't control what we get, and we don't expect to control others, but we can control what we give, and we step into our power. And we can be proactive rather than reactive. Yeah, so I'll stop sharing my screen now. And I'll just do the last little one because probably won't come back to this straight away. So 5 actionable strategies to prevent anger escalating. Prevention triggers compassion, own it. What is the truth? The truth of the matter, take responsibility and own it. Compassion, what is real, knowing your triggers, and prevention. So stop sharing. Yeah. So have you still got 5 minutes to do a quick hypnotic release the triggers thing? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got those 5 minutes for us? Yeah. Cool. So just looking at the palm of your hand really quickly. And just notice as you look at the palm of your hand and you relax, the more you relax, the more that hand will want to close. As you relax your jaw, take a big deep breath and breathe more and more relaxation. So relax your shoulders. And as that hand closes, and that hand just comes and faces you in a most comfortable way. And that closed hand now leading to closed eyes. And closed eyes leading to a softening of your face. And that leading to relaxed jaw and shoulders. Breathe in the intention of empowerment, proactive, not reactive. Just breathe it in. That's right. And you take yourself to your nice little inner sanctuary. As I count down, you might be rather surprised how quickly you can go there. Whatever that means for you, a rather pleasant inner world, inner self. From 10, 9, letting go, nothing to do but listen to my voice. 8, 7, 6, letting go, doing beautifully. 5, all the way to your toes. That hand gently relaxing wherever it lands now. 4, 3, 2, 1. Conscious mind now to simply observe, be the watcher. Just watch. Because this is a space of that beautiful autopilot of you, non-conscious, wanting to protect you, keep you safe, and has done so for so long. So pleased that here you are, you've survived. But to recognize certain actions and reactions have not served you. We've already identified them today, and you know that deep in your mind, and that reactivity now leaving your body like an unusual color. It's like a pile of rocks you've been carting around, creating a burden upon you. Doesn't serve you. You'll be much safer without it. You'll have a clarity of mind and ability to be proactive rather than reactive in order to keep yourself much safer, so much healthier. As you give yourself this gift of being in a moment, in the now. And as you release more and more of that unusual color, this beautiful golden glow of self-care, self-empowerment coming into that space to take its place. Feels good. Feels powerful because you are powerful beings. Human beings being human in this human experience on planet, as you recognize you're not entirely separate. There are all these little threads attaching you to past, present, and future, but in this present moment now, you notice those threads still connecting you with that irrelevant stuff that's got nothing to do with the now. That stuff that happened so long ago that's absolutely irrelevant. So you get whatever resources you need now, be it scissors, to cut those threads. You can call upon any helpers, protectors, supporters. Could be quite esoteric if you like, whatever's your thing. Could be some angel on horseback swinging his sword and just cutting you loose from all those threads that do not serve you. Going forward with the rubber band still attached is just not going to get you where you want to be. Cut yourself loose. Feel that space, that golden empowerment. You choose what you give. You choose how you react in a beneficial way that supports you and enforces the boundaries that you are worthy of. And integrate that into your whole being as you fast forward at the speed of thought. The last time you were reactive and chose a different way now. So just at the speed of thought, quickly rerun a moment in the future where such and such happens that had triggered you in the past, and notice how powerful you are. you keep a clarity of mind and a sense of compassion and create your own win-win conclusion. And as that comes in and through, just a big deep breath to just let it find its way home into the now and into the future so it can travel with you. The good stuff. You are empowered. You're capable, able, lovable, compassionate. To start to come back into the now with that new ability without the ties to the old stuff. Knowing that you can repeat this in your mind anytime you wish in your quiet times as you get out those scissors or that angel on his horseback wielding his sword to release anything else that is another thread that doesn't serve you to know. As you come back into the now and bring that with you. Eyes open, that's right, doing beautifully. So welcome back. Yeah, it's just a quick one.
Thank you. Thank you.
How do you feel, Amber?
Yeah, good. Actually, funnily enough, a little bit sleepy almost, you know.
Yeah.
And it's really good to focus in on that. Just take that time to just have that focus and reaffirm positive things to, I guess, the subconscious. I know that's a very powerful part of us.
That's
It's in charge more than
well, I tend to call it more a super conscious much of the time because it's the overlord, not the underlord.
Yeah, that's right.
Indicates under. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, so the more we take those times to do that, to do what we've just done, yeah, I definitely feel that that's a positive, supportive, you know, wise, really way, you know. So thank you.
Yeah, and reach out in future for any more because we'll start to finish off now. And how about you, Roz? You okay? Yeah, just need to unmute there, Roz. And unmute, we can't hear you.
Just like Amber, I felt a bit like really relaxed, and I probably could have done if I'd have stayed in there for a while. But just knowing that you can do it that sort of quickly if you've got a few minutes, and then just take yourself back to where you are before it started.
Yeah, well, I'll make a separate recording of a 5-minute one and possibly a longer one if you're open to me sharing those with you. But,
lovely. Thank you very much.
Anybody that's watching replay, just pop in some means of contact so that I can share it with you too. So thank you very much for all that attended today. And
thank you.
And watch out for next month's one. There'll be any ideas for the topic for next month's?
No.
Yeah,
I'll actually be away all of next month, so
it doesn't matter where you are if you can find an internet connection or just grab the replay. So
great.
Very grateful for you attending and anybody that's watching later. So thank you, and
thanks a lot.
Thank
you.
you. Another
Bye-bye.
time. Bye-bye.
Bye.